Chapter 3. The universe is out of whack. It's hard not to wonder what would have happened if things had gone differently, if the flight had left on time, or if I hadn't dared leave the gate area for a few minutes, but I did. I craved getting out of view, so I lifted my huge backpack onto my seat, walked through the crowd with my head down towards the bathroom across the extremely busy hall. The bathroom was more crowded than usual, too, and I felt lucky that the stall at the end, the one meant for the wheelchair, was open. I locked the door and sat on the toilet, just breathing and trying not to think about the line growing outside. When I felt better, I washed my hands and, with my head down, rushed out the door and back towards my seat. Considering how often I walk around with my head down, I'm surprised this doesn't happen more often. But it doesn't, and I was 2 steps across the hall when I felt the impact of a strong but petite body crashing into my left side, followed by cold icy liquid on my shirt and neck. I think some also hit me in the back, the head, but I'm not sure. It wasn't that I minded being knocked into or spilled on, but I hated the idea of having to stop and talk to a stranger who, once he or she got over the shock of what had happened, would then look at me with that question. What is wrong with this guy? Sorry, the girl said right away. I could tell she wasn't really sorry. She was annoyed. Keeping my head down and my eyes on the ground all of this time had definitely strengthened my other senses. One of the many things I've learned is that tone tells you a lot more about what a person means than the actual words. It's okay, I said, still facing in the direction I'd been heading. I could see my seat ahead. Well, at least I thought it was my seat. And it looked like there was someone sitting in it. I never should have left my backpack there. Here, let me help you, she said, coming around to face me with a bunch of napkins that had been scrunched into her hand. I could see her pulling earbuds out of her ears, and the green flashed in front of me. Then the braids, and then the yellow sweater. It was her. I'm fine, really, I said, not meeting her eyes. You have Diet Coke all over you. It's gonna get sticky. Does Diet Coke even get sticky? I asked. There's no sugar in it. She looked exasperated and handed me a bunch of napkins. I half-heartedly ran one of them over my neck and shirt. Thanks, I said. I have to get back. I think someone moved my backpack when I went to the bathroom. You left it? She asked. I turned to look at her, and by now she must have noticed I was different, so I was just wasting my time pretending and trying not to be seen. Yeah, it was so crowded and I didn't want to lose my seat. But it's an airport, she said. You can't leave things unattended at an airport. Someone's gonna think it's a bomb. Oh, I hadn't even thought about the bomb thing. It occurred to me to question why she had her eyes closed while the plane was boarding if she was so interested in airport safety, but I decided not to. A voice began to talk into the microphone, and we both turned to look, moving towards the gate at the same time. I walked to my seat, which was now occupied by an old man, and she walked right towards the gate. I nodded as we parted ways. Was there a backpack here when you sat down? I asked the man. He had greasy white hair and must have been at least 80. Shh, he said, putting his fingers to his lips. With his other hand, he pointed to my backpack, which was propped up against the wall. Then he pointed at the gate agent. She's going to tell us something. What she told us was that all the flights were canceled. Every single one of them. The relief of finding my backpack was quickly replaced with panic. A night with absolutely no place to go. A night of being in a huge, crowded room with nothing to hide behind was one of my nightmare scenarios. That hadn't even occurred to me as a possibility. Why did I think I could do this? It was turning out to be more than I could handle, and I did what anybody would do. I called my mother. She didn't pick up, so I left a voicemail telling her about the weather and asking if she could get me a room at the hotel that was connected to the airport, which happened to be affiliated with her travel business. Since I doubted I could get one myself, I also mentioned that I had sent the bunch of CDs I promised her with the noises from our house and neighborhood. I was actually pretty excited about them because there was a bird that drove us absolutely crazy, and I was able to record it that afternoon before I left. I quickly calculated that they were about 7 hours ahead, so it was almost midnight for them. It could go either way. If she'd get the message today or tomorrow. So next I called the hotel, and I was right. No luck, all sold out. I hung up and closed my eyes, and when I opened them, I looked across the room and saw the girl. Her shearling coat spread out behind her in the same way it had been on the airplane. Maybe it was her weapon against the germs and dirt of the airport. She was listening to her iPod again, but her eyes were open this time, and without giving it too much thought, I let my eyes meet hers. She smiled quickly, almost tersely. I would say shifting her eyes to the window. My phone vibrated in my hand. Hey, Mom. Or should I say, ciao? Hey, sweetie, she said. I missed her already. I just happened to check my phone one last time before we hit the hay. You're all set. There's a room waiting for you. Just give them our last name. It's paid for. Go check in, order room service, and watch a fun movie. Call me in the morning and let me know what the status of your flight is. Thanks, Mom, I said, not wanting to hang up yet. How are you guys? We miss you, but it's beautiful here. We can't wait until you visit in March. We keep talking about all of the things we can do together. At that moment, I wish I could have just gone right then, that I could forget about getting myself to the East Coast and just go straight to Europe. That sounds great, Mom, I said. Bye, sweetie. Don't forget to call me in the morning. Oh, I almost forgot. Sid wanted to say, go Bulldogs. Usually I would say go Bulldogs back, but we'd been saying it back and forth since October, and I didn't feel like it. Tell him I miss him, was all I said. Slowly I put my book into my backpack and slipped on my coat. I could have avoided walking by the girl, but I could have had to squeeze between two tight rows of seats. It would have been so obvious. Besides, I had nothing to lose, so I walked towards her and turned left just before her seat. She looked vaguely annoyed. Where are you going? She called out, surprising me, and I stopped. She still had her earbuds in, and I didn't know if she had turned the music down or off, or maybe it was still blaring in her ears. To the airport hotel, I said. Don't bother. I called, and they're all booked up. I also called a cab company, and apparently the streets are almost impassable, so I think we're stuck here. I got a room, I said. That is impossible, she said. I called even before the final announcement tonight. Well, I have a reservation. That's impossible, she said again. My mom's travel company works with the hotel, I heard myself explaining. She called, and apparently they had at least one room left because she booked it. It's waiting for me. I'm just heading over there now. Wow, she said. I could see her eyes light up. She seemed so much friendlier suddenly. Do you think it has 2 beds? Maybe, I said. For some reason, I was not at all surprised by her question. I had the distinct feeling that the universe was out of whack and normal rules didn't apply. I sort of liked it. You could come along and we'll see, and if not... I let the words hang in the air. She frowned and rolled her eyes, but responded by gathering her things for a second. I thought she was going to hand me her coat to carry, but she didn't. I was glad, because the truth was, if she had, I think I would have.